A rent wars, the new math that has tenants seeing red. Ah, rent, that joyous monthly tradition of watching your hard-earned cash disappear faster than a cheetah on a caffeine bender. But wait, it gets better, or worse, depending on who you ask. The folks over at the Administrative Housing Tribunal, we'll call them the AHT for short because ain't nobody got time for that whole name, have decided to spice things up with a brand spanking new rent calculation method. And let's just say, tenants aren't exactly throwing a ticker tape parade. Think more along the lines of a mass gathering of pitchforks and strongly worded letters. The tribunal, friend or foe? This question has been on the minds of many tenants and landlords alike. The Administrative Housing Tribunal, or AHT, is often seen as a mysterious entity that holds significant power over the lives of those involved in rental agreements. Understanding the role of the Administrative Housing Tribunal is crucial for anyone navigating the rental landscape. The AHT is designed to be a neutral body that oversees and regulates the interactions between landlords and tenants, ensuring that both parties adhere to the rules and regulations set forth by housing laws. So, who are these AHT people, and why do they get to play puppet master with our wallets? The members of the AHT are typically appointed officials with expertise in housing law and dispute resolution. Their primary role is to mediate conflicts and make decisions that are fair and just for both parties involved. Well, in the grand game of landlord versus tenant, the AHT is supposed to be the wise, impartial referee. They are there to ensure that the rules are followed and that neither side takes advantage of the other. This can include everything from resolving disputes over rent increases to addressing issues of property maintenance and tenant rights. They handle disputes, set rent increases, and generally try to keep the peace, or at least prevent all-out rent-related warfare. Their decisions can have a significant impact on the financial well-being of both landlords and tenants, making their role both powerful and controversial. But like any referee, they're not immune to a little controversy. Some people feel that the AHT's decisions are biased, favoring one side over the other. This perception can lead to frustration and mistrust among those who feel they have been treated unfairly. Some say they favor landlords, others say they're too tenant-friendly. This ongoing debate highlights the challenges the AHT faces in maintaining its impartiality and credibility. The reality is that the AHT's decisions are based on the evidence and arguments presented to them, and they strive to be as fair as possible. It's like trying to figure out if pineapple belongs on pizza. Everyone's got an opinion and nobody's backing down. Just as with the pineapple on pizza debate, the question of whether the AHT is a friend or foe is likely to remain a topic of heated discussion for years to come. Ultimately, the goal of the AHT is to create a balanced and fair rental market where both landlords and tenants can coexist peacefully. A tale of two calculations: out with the old, in with the worse? For years, the AHT used a rent calculation method that, while not perfect, was at least familiar. But apparently, familiarity breeds contempt because they decided to shake things up. The new method, they claim, is simpler and fairer. It takes into account things like property taxes, maintenance costs, and inflation. Sounds reasonable, right? Well, hold your horses, because the devil is in the details. And these details, my friends, are not pretty. Landlords rejoice, tenants weep, examining the historical impact of the new method. This new method has stirred quite the controversy, creating a clear divide between landlords and tenants. While landlords are popping champagne bottles, tenants are left grappling with mounting bills and financial stress. Let's hop into our time machine and take a trip down memory lane, shall we? Imagine if this new rent calculation method had been implemented over the past 15 years. How different would the housing landscape look today? If this new rent calculation method had been used over the past 15 years, tenants would have been hit with rent increases that would make your eyes water. Picture this: tenants opening their mailboxes to find rent bills that are significantly higher than what they were accustomed to. The shock and distress would be palpable. We're talking a whopping 15% higher than what they actually paid. This isn't just a small bump. It's a substantial increase that would have had a profound impact on their financial stability. The charts and graphs clearly illustrate the stark difference between the old and new rent prices. Now, landlords argue that this just makes up for all the years they were stuck with piddly rent increases. They believe that this new method is a long overdue correction that finally allows them to receive fair compensation for their properties. They claim they were practically losing money hand over fist. landlords paint a picture of financial distress, showing empty wallets and pockets, arguing that the previous rent control measures were unfairly restrictive. But tenants aren't buying it. They see this new method as an unjustified burden that disproportionately affects them. Protests and meetings have become common as tenants band together to voice their concerns and fight against what they perceive as an unfair system. They say this new method is like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. It's only going to make things worse. Tenants argue that instead of addressing the root causes of the housing crisis, this new method exacerbates the problem, leaving them in an even more precarious situation. The frustration and distress among tenants are palpable as they struggle to make ends meet in an increasingly challenging housing market. Section 5. We're just keeping up. The landlord's perspective on rising costs and fair returns. Now let's be fair to landlords for a second. They've got bills to pay too. Property taxes are going up, maintenance costs are skyrocketing, and don't even get them started on the price of plumbing these days. They argue that they need to be able to charge rents that reflect these rising costs. Otherwise, they're going to be forced to sell their properties. And then where will everyone live? It's a valid point, but is this new calculation method the right way to address it? Or is it just a recipe for disaster? Section 6. Highway robbery. Tenants cry foul over soaring rents and shrinking wallets. Tenants, on the other hand, are seeing red. They're already struggling to make ends meet, and these rent increases are going to push many of them over the edge. They argue that this new method doesn't take into account their ability to pay. It's all well and good to say that rents need to reflect market value. But what good is market value if nobody can afford to live there? They're demanding more transparency, more accountability, and most importantly, more fairness. Section 7. Behind the curtain. Peering into the black box of rent calculation transparency. One of the biggest complaints about the AHT's new rent calculation method is the lack of transparency. It's like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube in the dark. Nobody seems to know how they arrived at these numbers. Tenants are demanding more information about how the calculations are made. They want to know what factors are being considered and how much weight is being given to each one. After all, if we're going to trust the AHT to be the impartial referee in this rent war, we need to know they're playing by the rules. Section 8. Striking a balance. Can we keep a roof over everyone's head? The question of housing is more pressing than ever. With rising rents and stagnant wages, many families are finding it increasingly difficult to keep a roof over their heads. The dream of homeownership is slipping away for many, and even renting is becoming a challenge. So, what can we do to ensure that everyone has a place to call home? Policy solutions for a fairer fight. We need to look at a variety of policy solutions to address this crisis. Rent control, affordable housing initiatives, and increased funding for housing assistance programs are just a few of the measures that can make a significant difference. But it's not just about policies. It's about people coming together to find common ground and work towards a shared goal. So, how do we fix this mess? It's a complex issue that requires a multifaceted approach. We need to address the root causes of the housing crisis, such as income inequality and lack of affordable housing options. We also need to ensure that existing housing policies are enforced and that new policies are implemented effectively. It's going to take a team effort. Everyone has a role to play in solving this crisis. From policymakers to community leaders, from landlords to tenants, we all need to work together. Collaboration and communication are key. We need to listen to each other's concerns and find solutions that work for everyone. We need landlords to be reasonable and recognize that their tenants aren't endless money trees. Landlords should understand that maintaining a good relationship with tenants is beneficial for both parties. Fair rent prices and reasonable lease terms can go a long way in ensuring tenant satisfaction and stability. We need tenants to be understanding of the challenges landlords face and work with them to find solutions. Tenants should also be proactive in maintaining their living spaces and communicating any issues promptly. Mutual respect and cooperation can create a more harmonious living environment for everyone. And most importantly, we need the AHT to step up and be the fair, transparent, and accountable body they're supposed to be. The Housing Authority has a crucial role in overseeing housing policies and ensuring that they are implemented effectively. They need to be responsive to the needs of the community and work towards creating a fair and equitable housing system. Maybe then, just maybe, we can all stop fighting over rent and start working together to ensure everyone has a safe, affordable place to call home. It's a challenging journey, but with collective effort and a commitment to fairness, we can create a future where housing is a right, not a privilege. Let's strive for a world where everyone has the security and stability of a home. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for more updates. See you on the next video.